DC. Mr. Nizar Farsak is a lecturer of international affairs at the George Washington University in Washington, DC. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So now you're looking at all this situation escalating very quickly. What is your immediate reaction to where this is heading?
It's definitely a dangerous escalation. We have to say that, I mean, what we've seen so far in the last 2 months and even after the ceasefire is that military escalations and attacks are simply part of the negotiations. Whether it is Trump or the Iranian regime, both of them consider those kinetic actions, let's say, as part of the pressure that goes into the negotiations. However, this last one, it's obvious that Trump is getting tired and impatient with Iran. He is very frustrated with the attacks on shipping in Hormuz, because of course it impacts the oil prices and therefore also the inflation in the U.S. And he's trying to send a clear message that Iran needs to stop doing that.
So now, obviously, given the fact that the Americans have launched attacks twice in 2 nights, what does that mean? That they're planning to escalate regardless of the fact that the Iranians haven't really responded? They've done it once, but that's about it. So what kind of a plan do you think is being formed or framed in Washington regarding this new round?
Well, definitely there is frustration on part of the administration. They are very annoyed with the Iranians for having attacked or not let safe shipping go through the Hormuz Strait, and despite several warnings. So this attack is a calculated escalation. The U.S. does not want to go to full-fledged war, but it is very frustrated with the fact that these attacks by the Iranians or the Iranian regime on shipping are not ceasing, and that, of course, is jeopardizing the free flow of shipping through Hormuz, which is bad for the world economy and for the prices of oil and therefore inflation here in the U.S.
Absolutely. Now, if we look at, we have a map. I'd like to put it up on the screen so that we can basically see where these attacks are happening. It's this map right here, and we can see that the attacks have happened on the southern coast of Iran, mostly around this region here, and the scale of the attack has been fairly large. In fact, if we look at the next slide, you'll be able to see that the Iranian Ministry of Health is saying that the casualty figure right here is 14 people killed and 78 injured. And in fact, if you see those red dots right here, you can see very clearly these are the areas where the Americans have hit. So looking at this, that doesn't seem to be just like a small response. It's like a calibrated, targeted attack with a certain objective in mind.
Yes, definitely. It's clearly targeting, or the U.S. is targeting Iran's capacity to be a menace to shipping in the Gulf. So they're hitting all of these ports, all of these areas that are from which the attacks on shipping in the Gulf is happening, but they're not hitting deep inside Iran. It is a calculated, calibrated attack, a strong one for sure, but still it's trying to send a message that Iran needs, or the US wants Iran to stop threatening shipping in the Gulf, with, of course, a not so subtle, of course, threat that the U.S. is willing to go back to full-fledged war if Iran continues to, provoke the U.S.
So now there are 2 aspects where I'd like you to weigh in. Let's go step by step. First, of course, is the immediate cause of this latest round, which is as you very rightly said, shipping and the shipping lane. So what we've been told is that the ships that were passing through were going closer to the Omani side of the Persian Gulf, and the Iranians were saying that whatever traffic goes through, they have to coordinate with them. Now, this is linked to the MOU section, or I think it was point number 5, I think, if I remember correctly. And that is being interpreted differently by the Americans and by the Iranians. Now, if it is a question of interpretation, that can be worked out. But if it is not, and it is something larger, which essentially means that the Iranians are saying that if shipping can go through without our control, that would mean that the Iranians are losing the most potent leverage that they have in this conflict, and they don't want to let it go. So if it is something larger than just the question of shipping lane, then we are looking at probably chances of this conflict escalating again.
Yes, for sure. What transpired after the war was, ironically, the realization that in fact Iran has a much stronger weapon in Hormuz than anybody thought before. Not even the Iranian regime thought the Hormuz card or weapon was so strong. So they're trying to make the most out of it. Now, according to international law, shipping is supposed to be free through the straits. The only thing that countries with buttressing the state have rights to is, of course, protection against attacks or threats or drugs or whatever. But there is no legitimate legal right for Iran to demand fees or to disrupt the normal flow of goods and ships through the strait. However, they also know that they have the capacity, and when they use that capacity, what it's doing actually is that it is sending a message to the shipping companies. The message is not to the US and it's not even to the world. The message is to the shipping companies that with MOU or without MOU, you're going to have to go through Iran. You're going to have to get our okay, and you're going to need our protection to get through. And by this fait accompli, by this de facto control, Iran becomes a much more weighty geopolitical power in the region, with or without the nuclear weapon. And I think that's the new discovery, that's the new normal that the Iranian regime is trying to get the entire community, the world community, and the shipping companies getting used to needing Iranian acquiescence or Iranian cooperation.
I was listening to President yesterday in Ankara, where he was there for the NATO summit, and he had very strong words to say about the Iranians, very strong. Even though, a couple of days before or a week, 10 days before, he was saying nice things about them. So something happened. Now, whether it was just this issue of the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz or something else, because President Trump, I think, repeated twice or thrice that the Iranians agree to something, then when they come out, they say something else, and I don't trust them anymore. So obviously, I'm trying to wonder what could have triggered this big change. Could it be the opposition to the MOU within the US and within the Republican Party? Could that be a pressure that Donald Trump is feeling, and he thought that it is better to be much more aggressive? Or could it be something else? What is your assessment?
That's part of it. Trump has been getting a lot of criticism for the MOU, that it basically gives Iran a lot of its points and it gets it off the hook on the nuclear and issue and the missiles and the proxies. So it looks like Iran won, or at least Iran didn't lose. There wasn't that resounding defeat, complete defeat that Trump promised. But I also think it is his frustration with the repeated attacks by the Iranians especially, I think the timing. I think when the Iranians hit those ships while there was the NATO summit, it was kind of a test by the Iranians, knowing that the NATO countries are not interested in participating in protecting shipping in the Gulf, despite repeated demands by Trump for that. So I think it was the Iranian attempt to either embarrass Trump or just to genuinely test what is the threshold. And Trump felt definitely cornered and felt embarrassed or humiliated that indeed that the Iranians are attacking shipping even when he's in NATO, who are supposed to be supporting him.
Yeah. I want to ask else also, which, I've spoken to a lot of experts in the Middle East and who've looked at Iran for a long time. And there is a feeling that sometimes the Iranians tend to overreach. And, when they have a great deal, but then they want more. And they end up spoiling their own case. I mean, there are examples, various examples given, including the Iran-Iraq war, where they could have, they were in a good position in the first 2 years, but because of wanting to overreach, that war continued for 6, 7, 8 years. So do you think that in this case also, the Iranians feeling that they've come out on top, that there's a general perception that they won the war, that they've done really well militarily, that there is this overconfidence which is pushing them to do things which perhaps they should not do?
I think there is an element of that. They're definitely far more confident and far more bold and being just genuinely provocateur. However, I also think there could be a calculation that they know that the U.S. does not, or this administration does not want to go to full-fledged war again, at least not before the midterm election, but after the midterm elections in the U.S., then there might be a full return to full-scale war, and therefore the Iranians want to, extract as much value from this period before a return to full war. Keep pushing and pushing and pushing, the threshold, creating facts on the ground, attacking and not getting, attacking shipping, of course, and creating this new normal of ships or like the shipping industry, knowing that the most important thing is getting Iran's approval. To establish this new normal, they're going to need to do several of those, incidents, and they know that they only have this window to do that because after the midterm elections, the American administration will not have that patience.
Yeah. Let's have the map on the screen, because I want to talk a little bit about what are the American options right now, and let's keep the map on the screen for a second. When we talk about a full-scale conflict or full-scale war, what does that even mean? Because whatever the Americans and the Israelis could do in the last 3-4 months in terms of aerial bombing and everything, they've done it. Now, if they want to go beyond that, and whatever they wanted to achieve, they haven't achieved that. So if they want to escalate beyond that, what does that actually mean? Does that mean that they start hitting Iran's infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, oil infrastructure, all those things which, in many ways constitute war crimes? Or obviously then are we talking again about a ground invasion? That's the big question, even within the US, that, okay, if you want to dominate the escalation ladder, what options do you have?
Yes, so of course the U.S. is wary of a ground invasion. However, there have been plans mentioned about occupying of the islands, Abu Musa, Kharj, and other important islands in the Gulf, which wouldn't require a lot of manpower, but also hitting infrastructure. That is a possibility. The Trump administration is not deterred from breaking international law. They have hit water supplies before, but I think also the other thing that they could escalate towards is going ahead with more assassinations for this new tier of leadership in Iran. So I think they've spared the leadership, the current leadership in Iran, assassinations, but that could be back on the table if the Americans and the Israelis feel, or specifically Trump, if he feels that he's running out of options and is getting frustrated because the Iranians are not being flexible enough.
And to happen, then obviously Iranians would also escalate. So what kind of escalation could they do? If you look at all these, we've actually marked all these bases, the American bases in the Gulf region, and these have already been targeted by the Iranians. You know, we've talked about the possibility of Bab al-Mandab being blocked by the Houthis. So if an escalation happens, what options do the Iranians have?
Definitely, they will attack the bases. Having said that, the Americans have already taken precautions. They've removed their personnel, and those bases that have buildings that were destroyed, they moved part of their activities underground. So the Americans already are prepared for a second salvo of attacks on their bases. But the other thing that the Iranians could do, and have done before, of course, is just attack the Gulf states themselves and use that, soft belly to put pressure on the US. That is, the Iran hits the Gulf states, and the Gulf states start pressuring the US to de-escalate. And of course, finally, Iran would attack Israel again and try to hurt more serious and important parts in Israel. But again, the problem with these escalations is that you can start them, but you cannot control where they end up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very true. Obviously, we are at a very sensitive and critical stage right now. Things could go either way. Of course, we all hope that negotiations come back to where they were before the funeral of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. And obviously it's a big challenge for us here in Pakistan also. We are the main mediators, and it makes it very difficult for us. I mean, we worked really hard to bring the two sides together.